I'm Van.
I'm Sori.
That's Booby.
Colby and Chip.
We gotta come up with a better term than retro wig. I'll figure something out in the shower. But basically what we're doing is we're taking iconic bands, and see, I changed it from like the biggest bands into iconic bands because nobody can argue that Korn or whatever are not an iconic band.
We're taking the first song that they ever released on their first album.
Right.
And we're reviewing that one for the main stage. And then the underground, we're doing the last one of their last album. Correct? That's how you were playing it?
Right. Last song on the last record.
Well, I was like, are you doing that for the underground? That's, to my assumption, that's what was happening.
Right.
So, this was day one.
Right.
So, I'm very curious.
So the last record, the first song on the first record is Blind for Korn. The last song on the last record is Out of You from the record Serenity of Suffering. I've heard two songs. We did a song on this one.
Oh, okay.
On this record, it was like, I think it was Rotting in Vain or Insane, one of the two. It was the first two tracks. But I haven't done Out of You yet, so I'm actually extremely interested to hear.
Oh.
I've never heard the song before.
So you're in my position.
I'm in your position. So I'm very, very interested to hear the song. Go.
Go.
What was the biggest difference between Blind and this song, in your mind?
I mean, vocal style, obviously. Was...
Vocal styles. Completely different.
Yeah.
Completely different. Yeah.
And I don't like. What's the first one? Was it called Blind?
Blind.
Yeah. That Blind one just made you feel like, oh.
Yeah.
But this one is kind of.
This one, and this is kind of like
a little repetitive.
Well, it's a lot more conventional verse, chorus, middle, end. Whereas Blind was kind of all over the place. I was listening to because they did a 20th anniversary of the first record, and Fieldy was talking about how he's like, our songs had no structure to them. We didn't know how to write, and he's right. And I kind of disagree with him because it's like that was what was cool. You didn't know what to expect song to song.
Right.
First, you had no idea.
Yeah.
The third record was kind of in between. Because they got with, I forgot the name of the producer, I think it's Brendan O'Brien, I'm not sure, but they got with a kind of like a mainstream kind of producer, whereas, Ross Robinson was the first guy that was the producer for the first two records. And he was, he's like, he's known for being crazy and, whatever, and so, and he's also doing the current Slipknot record, by the way, the one that's about to come out. No, that's
the guy that was doing this one?
No. The one that did Korn, the first Korn.
Oh, he is?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, we'll let him happy.
Yeah. Yeah, he's also responsible for the first Slipknot record. First two Slipknot records, actually.
Wow. Okay.
So, Korn, they definitely evolved, but they, it seemed like they got kind of stuck in the verse, chorus, bridge, out.
I mean, I don't care like that. It just. Like, I like it when the song kind of makes me feel something. Like, whether it's a good or a bad emotion that I feel, I still want to feel something. Some songs make you want to break something, throw it through the window or something. You know what I mean?
Right.
Some stuff makes you want to cry or laugh, but this one was just kind of like...
Yeah. I'm pissed that we did Hit the Lights and Spit Out the Poem with Metallica.
Yeah.
Because there's such a difference, and there's like a vast difference between what they did before and what they did recently, but unfortunately we've done those already, so Metallica, we didn't get to do Metallica for this week, but I just, here's the thing about Korn is there's not a lot of variation sonically.
No.
You know what I mean? It's
yeah.
Down tune riff and it's going to be low and whatever, and there really isn't much variation, but the major variation was in Jonathan's singing.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure.
Yeah.
This one was interesting because this is about a relationship, and Jonathan recently lost, pretty sure it was his ex-wife.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting because there's some relationships issues here. Now look at you, you're like a train wreck that is in slow motion. If I were you, I'd trade away that every guilty notion. If this is true, would you lie? Would you cheat? Would you try to remind me of something really new? Still I dive in, grasping the emotion. So it looks like it's one of those relationships where it's like the person is destroying themselves, but they're doing it in slow motion. That's a pretty crazy line. You're a train wreck that's in slow motion.
Yeah, I thought that was a good line.
We've all experienced that. Well, I don't know if we've all experienced that, but you and I have. Not necessarily in relationships, just watching people destroy themselves in slow motion and that crazy. That's a really that's a strange feeling when you're seeing somebody destroy themselves, but it's like happening in front of you in real time.
Horrible. It's so horrible.
Yeah. Yeah, like and drugs are, I'm assuming there's a drug problem here, because he said, I thought you'd grown but only grew more sick and in debt to stillness.
Wait, I don't know why he said, if I were you, I'd trade away that every guilty notion. I don't know what that means.
Well, a notion is an idea. And so you get ideas in your head, and if you follow through with them, you end up feeling guilty about it. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it basically, I think what he's saying is, if I were you, I would stop those things that make me feel guilty.
Yeah.
Right? So you don't like feeling guilty, There's a solution. Stop doing things that make you feel guilty. Huh?
Uh-huh.
But it's not that easy for a person, especially if it's still I dive in grasping in the emotion.
What he's saying, he keeps going in with her.
Right.
Yeah, but why does he say, if this is true, would you lie? Would you cheat? What's true? That you keep doing it? Whatever it is that's your notion?
I think what he's saying is, if it's true that you could trade away the guilty notions, would you?
Okay.
Would you lie, or would you cheat?
Then he says, would you try to remind me of something new? To distract him, or I don't understand.
Well, I think in those relationships, the person goes, okay, I've turned over a new leaf.
Oh, yeah.
But,
I'm going to this rehab now. I'm doing this.
Right.
I see.
Right. So remind me is like to look back of something really new, which is, this is like the millionth time that you've said you're going to change something. Yeah. And then you dive in grasping in the emotion, which of course, especially if you've had kids with the person, it's not just easy to go,
Yep.
Because Jonathan had a serious drug problem, and he kicked his drug problem like over a decade ago. So it was way more than a decade ago, almost 15 years ago.
That would make it harder to be hard on somebody at first, initially, because you'd be like, I know how hard it was, blah, blah, blah. But then after a while, you'd be like, no, I kicked it, and you are not.
Right. See, me, that wouldn't make me more compassionate or understanding to the person. If I had a drug problem and I kicked it, I would be, I did it.
Yeah, but if it took you a while.
Yeah, but I think his kids really were like the big
motivator.
So the problem is, how come the kids aren't a motivator to you? I'm assuming if this is a relationship and it's drugs, and we're making a lot of assumptions here.
Right.
But if it's really interesting, because some people, once they start having kids, they go, okay, I got to be really serious here, and it causes hella conflict with the other person if that doesn't have that effect on them. I mean, really, that's one of the things that, because my ex and I kind of did a post-mortem, like what happened in our relationship, and like she indicated that as one of the major factors was
you changing.
I changed so dramatically once I found out that we were pregnant with Dory. Like, it was like night and day, and it was just too much of a jagged turn. It was like, driving at 90 miles per hour and then deciding you're going to go left. There's going to be some carnage, and so that was one of them, I guess. I should have known you're so cold. How could I be so clueless? I thought you'd grown, but only grew more sick and in debt to stillness. That's why I think it's probably a drug problem. In debt to stillness, because there's some drugs that are just completely, And then, if you think about it, that could also be a foreshadow of dying, right? Like, you have a debt to stillness that you have to pay.
Yeah. Yep.
And, that's a crazy line. In debt to stillness. I'd walk away, but the price is high. I guess I'll manage. I've done this great for two. And if you lay down, will I still feel sadness? See, right there.
Yeah. It could be death again.
Well, that one's definitely death, in my opinion. If you lay down, will I still feel sadness?
Because he already feels sad because of everything that's going on.
Right, and it's like, if you die, it'll be over, so will I still feel sad? So,
boy.
Well...
That's pretty crazy.
And, if it's pretty... A lot of these guys have been super prophetic, though, about their lives.
Yeah.
And their deaths, or the deaths of the people around them. But there it is, I'd walk away, but the price is high. It's not that easy to I watched my mom, flee the country all up and down the East Coast to get away from a bad relationship. She was never able to really break free. They're not that simple.
Yeah.
It's not as simple as just going, you don't get to be done with them then.
Right.
It's not like that.
Right.
People are... There's a lot...
Like you say, especially if there's kids involved.
Yeah, and there's just a lot that you invest in a relationship, man. It's one of those things where, as I say all the time, like, I would rather lose by 400 than lose by 1. You know what I mean? I'd hate to lose by one in double overtime, but like you reach this point where like you've invested so much that you're not, you know, when he talks about being clueless, how could I be clueless? It's not necessarily about being clueless. It's just that you want to believe or you overlook certain things because you're trying so hard to make the thing work. And he says it right there, I've done this great for two.
Right.
Meaning, I think he's saying, I'm carrying this thing.
That's what I was going to say. There's no 50-50 here.
Yeah. And here's the thing. As a dude, I believe that dudes have a responsibility to carry the weight of the relationship. Not necessarily the whole relationship all the time. Mm-hmm. But I do believe that, you know, we should be carrying, you know, a heavier load than the woman. But good Lord, I mean, you can't keep dragging somebody along who doesn't want to go. It's a tough lesson that I took a long time to learn, you know. But I wouldn't change anything because I believe that marriages are worth fighting for. And I think that, you know, my particular situation, you know, I was married. I'm pretty sure John was married too. So, you know, you can't, you know, it's tough. There's no arithmetic to it. It's one of the things that scares me to death about the kids, man, is that Johan. See, Dorian, I feel like Dorian would be like, what? See ya. Like, 2 incidents, Dorian would be gone, but I feel like Johan would. Zoe, too. I think Zoe would be like, get out of here. Like, do you know who I am?
I am more convinced that Zoe would do that than Dorian, because if she's got some issues and, I don't know, like, you know how he got about, like, with, like, Hillary and the different, like, characters when they have, like, some, he'll, like, stand beside him even though they're like, not. Yeah,
if Dorian gets hooked up with some,
yeah, so I could see him staying in a situation like that.
Yeah.
I could see Zoe saying, no way,
Right. Johan, though, I definitely see him sticking it out and going through hell for his lady.
Yes, but at the same time with Johan, I don't know, maybe Johan, I feel like he's got certain things. You know, he's all crazy all over the place. He's always throwing himself on the floor. You know what I mean? Like, he's sliding into a room. Everybody comes into the room. Johan comes flying in. But at the same time, he has some deep thoughts. And so, like, you know, like when you know what I'm saying? Like, you wouldn't realize that he was as deep as he is. Yeah. So, like, you know, like he's not trying to take any tips from Dorian as far as like how to be a man and stuff like that. So, like, I don't know what his thoughts are actually about, like, what type of woman he's looking for.
Dorian would be extremely shallow in his selection.
Yeah, and I don't see Johan doing that.
Johan wouldn't. What I'm saying, though, is if Johan chooses someone and they end up being crazy, he's not going to drop them for anything. He's going to stay next to that girl.
Yeah, you're right.
I don't see Johan going, see you later.
Yep.
I see him basically doing what I did. And I'm not mad at him for that. You know, it's just one of those things where it's like, you got to be really, really careful about who you give your heart to, male or female, because it doesn't matter. You know?
Yeah.
Once that person gets their hooks in you, that's it. And it's very difficult to extricate yourself from that situation. And, you know, and then when you add marriage to it, then good Lord.
Right.
I can't escape you, wish I could break this change, I can't relate to these little...
Yeah, I mean...
Yeah.
He's like, I'm not that type of person.
Yeah. All I do is just let the kids know and, you know, say, hey, I'm here for you. The minute the person starts playing games, man, it's no bueno. The big thing for me is, like, my advice to the kids is just going to be like, let there be a very long vetting period. Like, that's a tough thing to navigate, because I remember being young and hearing, you just met this girl, what are you doing, da 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 da. And so a lot of times I think to myself, like, okay, how do I position this idea that they need to, you know.
Well, you think you know. You know.
Well, you just don't have the...
And you know how, like, I saw this preview and the mom was like, honey, you just need to understand. She's talking to her daughter. The mother is like old, and the daughter is like probably in her 50s. So they're. She said, honey, she's like, you just need to understand that life goes really fast. She's like, Mom, I know. You've told me that every 10 years for the last 30 years.
Right.
You know? So the mom is like, because the mom has this mindset that like, life is always over. You know what I mean? Like she hits that, the mom is, so 30 years ago, the mom was whatever age, and the mom was like, wow, life goes fast. 10 more years goes by, the mom's still alive. The mom's like, life goes really fast, because she always feels like she's at the end of her life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Although 30 years ago, when she said it goes fast, she still had 30 or 40, 50 years left. So kids are not like that. You know what I mean? Like do you remember being a teenager, maybe you didn't feel this way because your upbringing was completely different than mine, but just feeling this like, oh my gosh, I have to accomplish this before our time runs out.
Yeah.
You know, so like, oh, you gotta hurry up and marry somebody before there's nobody left, you know?
Well, I didn't feel that way at all.
Well, you had a different, yeah.
But I did feel like I was on a clock. For sure.
Yeah, so.
For sure, I felt like I was on a clock.
You're trying to tell them to slow down, and they're like.
Yeah, if my mom would have approached. See, my mom, it wasn't really that she could tell that something was wrong with the other person. It was just that I just think she had a hard time letting go of the fact. Like, I'm going to have a very hard time with all the kids once they start with the relationship stuff and blah, 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 blah. Just the symbology of, hey, you know, for this reason, a man leaves his father and mother, is bound to his wife, and the two become one flesh. Like, it's the way of the world. Like, he's got to leave. And I love you know, like, once I really dialed in hardcore to homeschool, like, I love it. I love being around them. I love having them with us all the time. You know, I love, you know, our lifestyle and all that. Like, yeah, somebody was like, homeschool, oh my gosh, how do you do that? I'm like, are you kidding me? How do you not do it? Like, are you kidding me? You get to have your kids around you, get to watch them learn and teach them, and what are you talking about? But, you know, so them, you know, going off and doing all that stuff and getting in relationships, like, it's gonna be hard for me. And I think it was very hard for my mom, you know, because my mom, she lost a couple years with me at the beginning, so, you know. But she was just so against it that she just guaranteed that it was going to go on a lot longer. If she would have came around alongside me and said, "Okay, how's it going? Da 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 da. Like, do you think this is the best play? Like, you know, here's some things to look for. You know, do your thing." Like, I'd have been a lot more like, screw that. I don't care about her. You know what I mean? But like, because she made it such a wedge issue, I'm like, word. You know, I'm 16 years old, so. I'm trying to like learn those lessons and all that, but Dorian, you know, it's gonna be interesting, that's for sure.
Yeah, I don't know how I'll be with the kids when they're.
I'm least worried about Zoe. I'm very worried about Selah. Very worried about Johan.
Yeah.
Extremely worried about Selah.
I can't even see Selah. I can't even picture what she's gonna do. Sometimes I'm like, and then other times I'm like, okay, well, no. But yeah, my dad was always like. It was so stressful for him, like, raising us girls, because he was so like, what if something happens, you know, that, like, I think he couldn't wait to marry us off, because, like, I remember him saying,
what?
Whew, now you're their responsibility. Whew.
Oh my
like,
gosh.
I remember him saying that, he, okay, now I don't have to, all those things that I was stressing out about, like, as a parent, you're never going to be completely stress-free.
No.
But now you're married, so, you know, the 10 things that I was worried about aren't, you know, necessarily going to happen. And now he's going to have to keep an eye to make sure you're safe.
I'll never feel like that. See, I would be the opposite, because I'm like, man, I don't know this dude, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if he's trained to protect my daughter. You feel me? Like, you know.
Well, you
opposite.
came up in Maine. It's not like you thought that, you know, somebody's gonna rob us or something like that. It wasn't like physical harm. It was more
there's
like...
a lot of Maine dudes that can get busy. I'm talking about like world-class dudes from Maine that as a matter of fact, in certain branches of our government, a lot of these dudes came from, Gary Gordon came from Lincoln, Maine. Delta guy. So, it's not the main thing. It's just, you know, she ends up with some cornball dude who's soft and, you know, that's the thing I'm worried about with Zoe, is that she's gonna run all over the guy because she's so much like me, you know, she's so strong-willed. You know, that's, you know, that's why, you know, I could never be attracted to like a weak-willed woman. Like, I need somebody that's like, has to push back and can say, fuck you, you know? Because that's the only woman I'd be able to like function with. I'd be bored. Like if you were just a pushover all the time and we never fought, you never stood up for yourself, I'd be like, yo, we'd be good friends, but it would never go anywhere. It's just, you know.
Yeah, I know. Sometimes when there's something going on, you get this little, like a happy smirk.
Yeah, I enjoy it. But Zoe, she runs into some soft pushover dude. Good night. That guy. Anyway, I don't know what this has to do with Korn. Yeah, it's obviously like, you know, very. It's a good song. It's just not. I don't know.
What are you giving it?
It's like a 6 for me.
It was a 7 for me.
Okay, I can rock with a 7. I just.
I know.
I don't know.
It's just.
I think the big thing for me is
especially when you're back to back them.
Yeah, I didn't see a lot of evolution.
No way, I thought it got worse.
Well, it's not. Well, here's the other thing. I don't know. Because the last song on the record, a lot of, like, Korn, okay, so the last song on Korn was Daddy, which was crazy. Right. Last song on Life is Peachy was Kill You, which was crazy. Last song on Follow the Leader was My Gift to You, which was crazy. That was the one, I heard you, can't you feel the pain? That one, I love that song. That was crazy. Last song on Issues was Dirty. That was crazy. So, Korn has this tradition of like ending the record with a bang. And this is the end of the record song. Like, it really wasn't banging at all. But anyway, I don't care. I'm still a Korn kid. Forever. Vin out.
Sorry, out.
Gone.